Sometime after his cousin accepted his message, Zoroaster visited the court of one of the Persian kings, Vishtaspar, who, though a good man, had allowed the priests in his realm to become very powerful. They were angry to think the king would take even a moment to listen to Zoroaster. Of course, they were really worried that if the king accepted the truth of Zoroaster's message, there would be no need for their rites and rituals, and they would lose their power. The story is told that Zoroaster entered the royal court with dignity, wearing a shining white robe and carrying a bowl of flames as a symbol of God's warm and purifying love. The king was seated on the throne with his wife, the queen, and the princes of the realm beside him. Guards, priests, and other subjects filled the court. Zoroaster told Vishtaspar to use his own ears, his own eyes, and his own mind to understand that God had given everyone the capacity to know right from wrong and to choose to do good. By following God's teachings, he explained Vishtaspar could bring prosperity to his kingdom. Having delivered his message to the king, Zoroaster was then questioned by the wise men and priests of the court. 33 questions were put to Zoroaster, and each he answered with great eloquence. Everything in the court was affected by Zoroaster's words, galvanized by the love of God. The walls seemed to vibrate, the animals moved about happily, and even the dance of the flames in the fireplaces seemed livelier than ever before. The hearts of the people were also touched, filled with love and joy. Vishtaspar, too, was deeply affected by Zoroaster's words and asked him to return the following day, and then the next. Zoroaster continued to demonstrate his knowledge and wisdom, and the priests grew more and more jealous. So they plotted against Zoroaster. They went to his room and filled it with bones, nails, hair, heads and tails of cats and dogs, the things of witchcraft. When Vishtaspar heard what had been found, he accused Zoroaster of being a sorcerer, and at the promptings of his priests, commanded that Zoroaster be locked in an underground dungeon and left there to starve. The plotters of the priests seemed to have succeeded, but you know that nothing could prevent Zoroaster from fulfilling his mission, and the schemes of the priests, as we will see, proved futile. For 2 years, Zoroaster remained in the dark prison, until one day he was summoned to the king. Vishtaspar, most precious horse, a symbol of his majesty and prosperity, had grown ill. Each of its legs had somehow been contracted. It could not move. Zoroaster told the king that he could cure the horse, and one by one the legs were fixed. With this, Zoroaster called upon the king to recognize the power of the one true God and to defend his faith. The king's heart was uplifted, and at that moment he had a vision that he was in the presence of God's archangels, surrounded by light. He felt the power of the Almighty and left his throne to kneel at Zoroaster's feet, dedicating himself to the service of God. You recognize, of course, the inner meaning of this story. The whole of the land was afflicted with suffering, and Vishtaspa had finally seen that only the teachings of God could alleviate its ills. Vishtaspa's acceptance of the teachings of Zoroaster helped many others to see the truth of his message. The queen and princes soon became followers, as did Zoroaster's own family, his relatives and his friends. Before long, the Zoroastrian faith had spread throughout the entire region of Media and to all of Persia. By the end of Zoroaster's life on this earthly plane, the name of Zoroaster was revered well beyond the borders of his native land. Eastwards to India, westwards to Greece. He was 72 years old when his soul passed into the worlds beyond. The words and deeds of Zoroaster are recorded in a holy book called the Avesta, meaning knowledge. Through these teachings, the character of the people was completely transformed as they began to live according to those guidances and striving to exemplify the good thoughts, good words, and good deeds that form the core of Zoroaster's teachings. They became gentle and kind, courteous and hospitable. The promise of prosperity was fulfilled, and the kingdom of Persia was eventually united, forming a strong empire known for its high standards of conduct.